Bon dia, bonjour, buenos dias, ndi, and good awakening to everybody. I have to warn you, this video is going to be long because I want to do a thorough job and explain things deeply, and then at the end give you a summary of the bigger picture, the historic amnesia that a lot of people are having on this planet / frequency and in other realms. Because what is happening here, the battle of the sexes, is happening in other realms. It's either sexes, genders, or groups against each other. It's called divide and conquer. So we're going to talk about Mgtow, NOLLAGIRL504, and the whole amnesia thing that we are experiencing, not just in this realm, but throughout the entire universe. Okay, so let's begin. I posted a video by NOLLAGIRL504 2 days ago, and one of my subscribers said that she didn't agree with Nolla. I paid particular attention to the frequency of the words that she wrote. I understood that she didn't agree with Nolla Girl because Nolla Girl is a liar. In that particular video, I didn't find anything wrong with what she said, what Nolla said. But you have to dig deeper if you want the whole entire truth, because as she said, as the subscriber said, there is more to the picture. And this is how we are being played against each other. I remember this happening before. I posted a video of someone saying something that was dead on, and then later to discover that there were other things in the background, that she was lying about other things. Vandana, yes, that's what it was. So thank you for the help, thank you for the tip to go deeper into the truth, to go deeper into the rabbit hole. So let's look at NOLLAGIRL504 and Sandman representing Mgtow, at least one of the representatives. And then finally, again, we'll go over the bigger picture of what's going on, so that you can use this information to return to source consciousness sooner. Source consciousness, i.e. what religious people call God. Okay, so please forgive me for not having all of the clips because I'm having problems with my internet. It's not really the internet, it's just things playing with my internet. Anyway, the first clip, so when I dug deeper, I discovered that NOLLAGIRL504 is either a manipulator or control opposition. For sure, she is a fraud, a liar. Victor Knight, that's the YouTuber's name, was one of the people who exposed her. And the way she attacked them is indicative of her negative character. I don't have the video, but she was exposed, and she was caught saying that she was recording in her car because she had to go to one of her many jobs. Now, keep in mind that she claims to be a traditional person, traditional woman who values family above all. So why does she have several jobs and perhaps neglecting her children, right? Well, that's a big red flag that she may not be who she claims to be. She isn't who she claims to be. The next piece of evidence against NOLLAGIRL504 is this. I just took it off the internet. It's called Mgtow and QUOT, more proof. NOLLAGIRL504 lies to people. Okay, so I'm going to start where I have 3 minutes and 43 seconds. Where get right into it, where the guy starts talking about it.
All right, guys. So the name of this channel is Mgtow Revolution, and he only has 92 subscribers. I would love more than anything for him to wake up and have so many more subscribers just by you sharing my video and getting that reach out there for him, you know, showing us this video. And we're going to get right into it, guys. So here we are.
Like, I'm going to be honest with you.
Anyone who begins with "I'm going to be honest with you" is lying.
And, you know, I've been married for 10 years. I don't hang out with ex-boyfriends. I just don't do that. Why? It just can open up the door to something happening, or I just don't do that. I don't do that. I really don't hang out with males. I don't have male friends. I just draw the line on that. It's because I'm a married woman, and it just invites too many issues.
The screen says lying by omission involves holding back relevant information, for example, by failing to mention.
I'm a married woman, and it just invites too many issues.
I want to go back. Okay, so by failing to mention any information about a faulty past.
You know, it's so sad. I've seen some of my male friends actually go to jail for not being able to come up with the child support money. I really don't hang out with males. I don't have male friends. I just really don't hang out with males. I don't have male friends. I just really don't hang out with males. I don't have male friends. I just.
Oh man, that guy laughing just cracks me up. Anyway, there you have it. I mean, it's just, well, okay. So I think she did a really good job, you know, hiding her deception. Excuse me. She did a good job hiding her deception, because yeah, I mean, I thought perhaps the game was getting a little too easy. The game, this is the word that Source uses. If you don't understand, it just means life, existence. It's a game that people play. Literally a game where you feel. A game, people lying to themselves. People, it's not real. That's what it means. Life is not real in the way that we think it is. Okay, anyway, let's continue. So this NOLA girl, okay, so I didn't pick it up right away. I had to dig a little deeper. But the next person, that wasn't hard at all. The next person is Sandman of Mgtow. Again, the message in Mgtow, I mean, not the message itself, but the information about how men are treated in society, they're treated pretty poorly. Okay, in the West, I totally agree with. There's enough evidence. But there is also the other element that of Mgtow that troubles me. And Sandman. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a couple of videos, and then we're going to analyze them. Let's start with the dating beta females. Mgtow dating beta females. This is by
Hi everyone, Sandman here. This video is brought to you by a donation from Colby, and here's what he has to say. Hey Sandman, it's Colby. You previously did a video for me titled 21-Year-Old Asian. You were very accurate, and I have since studied a lot of psychology, sociology, as well as learning about the dark triad. I went to therapy to get some answers from a less biased source about things I was noticing about myself. He told me that I have sociopathic tendencies, and since then I've noticed more and more how right he was.
Okay, so you hear that? He has issues. He has issues.
I bring this up to give you some background information about why I think what I'm doing now is interesting. I would like to know what you think about my latest experiments.
Okay, again, this is someone who wrote to Sandman. This is not Sandman himself. Sandman is talking about the person who wrote to him.
At first I decided to go monk mode and found that pretty easy to do. So then I thought it was interesting to start the pump and dump, to see if this was difficult to find my actual sexual marketplace value. It turned out I was quite high up. So I decided to stop doing that and find a long-term subject to explore. This is not me blue-pilling or looking for validation. I found a girl that dropped out of high school and was below me financially as well as intellectually. Being that I have sociopathic tendencies, I'm quite manipulative. So I'd say I'm pretty equal in manipulation ability. I also enjoyed the game/shit testing to see what types of behavior cause different reactions. I think all men should try and do this as it's very enlightening.
It's not enlightening. It's called staying in hell. You're a moron and you're an asshole.
Shows more clearly how female nature really is than being the alpha dominant in the dynamic. I control her to a ridiculous level. I have all her passwords, her banking information, GPS tracking must remain available to me, she must ask permission to leave her apartment, etc. I do not have any goal here other than to see how long she can remain behaving within the parameters that I've set up. This has been going on for a bit over 6 months. Do you find this interesting? Is there anything you think you would be interested in me incorporating to see what happens? The most impactful experience was the time when she started to talk to me and complain. I told her that that was unacceptable and if she actually wanted to be with me to never do it again. She is not so far. The weird part is her immediately switching. I'm impressed she's been in chameleon mode for this long and how strict I am. Another interesting story is when she tried to use sex as a bribe for going to the zoo she likes. I had to put a hard stop to it and explain to her that I don't want to be with a prostitute. The interesting part is that she will never use sex as a weapon nor a punishment. It seems to have flipped where she now begs me. I do not expect this to last, however. Also, I should note that when we met, she was 19 and I was 25. I do not think this is wise to do to older women older than 20, as she seems to treat me like a father figure at times, although she does and has had a father in her life. Well, Colby, the man with the name that rhymes with Dolby, thanks for the donation as well as the topic. Just telling me about your story ended up explaining a lot about the 2 major adult relationships I had in my life, where I was with women that had lower sexual marketplace value than myself. I suspect that I was trying to cheat the gods of their pound of flesh by getting together with women that couldn't bitch as much as the beautiful ones. I also suspect to some extent you're also bargaining with reality and getting sexual gratification while also cheating by hacking your way into a 19-year-old hiney. But before I do, let me first tell everyone about today's sponsor, the Mgtow Book Collection. Tim Patton has written 5 Mgtow books. To scream out loud, she's with you because she feared, found at the sponsor link down below. Anyways, now back to the show. So this 19 or 20-year-old woman that you're with, Colby, sounds to me like she's with you because she fears that she can't find someone better. So she's willing to give you vaginal use in exchange for your abuse. Sounds to me like the longer she's with you, the more emotional and psychological damage she gets, and the more sexual gratification you get.
Okay, so he's pretty much, Sandman is pretty much just laying down the obvious. He's explaining, it makes sense. Makes sense, but But, there's that but. Keep listening.
The more you destroy her self-esteem, the more she'll probably fear ending up with a local drug dealer's loser cousin. Also, make no mistakes about it, she's either 19 or 20 and wants sex at that age because it's the prime point in her fertility window. I remember being that age and withholding sex from women. When I ignored one, she went under my desk and spent half an hour long on a suckathon, on my schwing while I was hard at work. The more I told her no, the more she begged for the big D down her throat. This is perfectly natural after all. Women in their late teens and early 20s, when you tell them no, will have self-esteem issues if guys turn them down. If that's happening at the age of 19, then they imagine with horror what will actually be going on at the age of 30 or 40.
Okay, again, so he's describing situations that are possible, very possible, happen in society, but.
Also, many women are attracted to scoundrels, even if they claim they aren't. I suspect that in your case, she as well as many other women don't see this as sociopathic control over them. They see it as the man taking charge and authority over them, and this in turn makes many of them feel secure that there's someone there stronger to take care of things if things in life go wrong. Perhaps such women haven't learned to distinguish the difference between a controlling man and one that's just taking charge for their own good. Sounds to me like when you're done with this thought, she'll be sitting in a puddle of her own thought tears after peeing herself.
But have you heard Sandman say anything against what this guy is doing to this girl yet? Other than just giving a description of what the guy is doing. Does he say anything more, that there is something morally off about this guy's behavior toward the woman? Does it really matter if the girl has issues? Now, this is what I talked about in a lot of my videos. It's not about the other person, it's about you finding peace. When you find peace, then that radiates toward other people. It doesn't matter if the other person is doing something wrong or had an intention. It doesn't matter. But Sandman does not address the moral aspect, the moral necessity, the moral urgency here. He just lets it go. Keep listening.
But your words spark deeper thoughts in me. A lot of the time, at first, it's really great for the man when he's higher sexual marketplace value and he's dating a woman with lower value. She's the one that's got to walk around on eggshells instead of you, being careful about every little thing she says and does.
Again, these are descriptions of the situation and what happens in society. He avoids the moral aspect of what the guy is engaged in.
I suspect using a woman with lower sexual marketplace value or a beta female in the short or medium term works out well for the man. That was my experience in my 20s, but doesn't work well longer term because of the resentment on her part. Maybe she suspected that that's why you got together with her in the
more descriptions
first place. My experience is that in the beginning, a woman is happy to be with the man she never thought that she could get. He can have his way and be more emotionally abusive to a woman like that than a more mature, better-looking one, because the older ones know the difference between abuse and authority, and the good-looking ones have more options. But the ugly fuckling that hasn't morphed into the slutty swan yet is easily manipulated. Colby, your zoo story is perfect. I'm glad you told her that she couldn't go to the zoo if she blew you. You called out her tests, and this just means she wants you more for standing up to her and seeing through her bullshit. Besides, what would she do at the zoo besides stare at real bullshit? Mentally, at the age of 19, she's still a child, and you're having a good time and enjoying your life. I bet the thoughts out there listening to this right now are clutching their pearls in horror, because it sounds like I'm encouraging you to abuse your little Miss Slutshine. I suspect that a possible reason you're treating like this might be because the woman you were with before emotionally abused you in some way, and now you want payback.
Descriptions. He hasn't offered anything that will help this guy advance in terms of his higher self, light inside. He hasn't said anything yet.
Another possibility is that after taking the red pill, you still have some of that red pill rage inside of you, and you're taking it out on a vulnerable woman. That you're playing the part of
vulnerable. Okay, that's the first. Jason Bateman without the raincoat and chainsaw.
The only raincoat you need for now is the one on your cock.
Okay, so now he goes back. That first good thing he said, he takes it back by saying what he just said. Listen again.
You still have some of that red pill rage inside of you, and you're taking it out on a vulnerable woman.
Okay,
Then you're playing the part of Jason Bateman without the raincoat and chainsaw. The only raincoat you need for now is the one on your cock.
So basically offers no good advice. Nothing that would lead this guy to a higher ground, higher moral ground, where he can escape hell sooner.
Suspect that I'm manipulative when it comes to women too, but
Yes, you are.
not consciously. I think
No, you're conscious. If you can make videos about it, you're conscious about it.
I've done a great job at convincing myself that I'm
Yes, you have.
a good person that blinds my conscious mind to all the bad intentions found in my Tyler Durden-style subconscious mind, looking to cause chaos. I suspect that my subconscious mind, just like your conscious mind, Colby, knew that you have to be careful around women or they'll be abusive to you if you're not.
True, you have to be careful around women. You have to be careful around men. The human species is not in a good place morally. Yeah, I'll talk more about that in a little bit.
This seems to be the situation. I remember in my mid-20s when the girl I was with wanted to go to the local theme park every single weekend, but I wanted to go to the beach. First, we would alternate doing what we wanted either week, but over time I gave her what she wanted and she became more bold, and therefore she started to become more abusive in a sense because I always had to do what she wanted, and she knew I was in love. It's a good thing when you recognize, Colby, that your love affair will be short-lived. I didn't, and it hurt me for a year or two breaking up with her. Be careful that you don't underestimate your feelings for this girl that you're abusing. When it comes time to pull the trigger...
Okay, so he's telling him to be careful instead of you shouldn't do this. It's not good for your soul. It's not good for your light. By the way, I'm not religious if you think I'm religious if you're listening to this for like the first time, or if you're listening to me for the first time. I'm not religious. Religion comes in all forms. Going to church, lying to oneself, but mostly I'm talking about church religion, and science is also religion.
Get rid of that junior gold digger, you might have a hard time doing it. You'd be surprised what happens to you.
So he's focused on him not facing the consequences of him abusing this girl.
Keep me posted about your situation. I also think your desire to have access to her banking and internet passwords either comes from potential paranoia that she's going to cheat on you, or that you're just doing this as an experiment to see how badly you could hurt her because of all the other women that hurt you before. Is it possible that you might have actually found an innocent woman to punish for all the women that came before her, taking your innocence away? And now you're just returning the favor to the female collective. You must understand that down the road you'll be creating a vulva monster man-eater.
1 second, just in case I talked over it and you didn't hear it.
Women that hurt you before. To pull the trigger and get rid of that junior gold digger, you might have a hard time doing it. You'd be surprised what happens to you. Keep me posted about your situation. I also think your desire to have access to her banking and internet passwords either comes from potential paranoia that she's going to cheat on you, or that you're just doing this as an experiment to see how badly you could hurt her because of all the other women that hurt you before. Is it possible that you might have actually found an innocent woman to punish for all the women that came before her, taking your innocence away? And now you're just returning the favor to the female collective. You must understand that down the road you'll be creating a vulva monster man-eater. A woman that's probably going to take out her rage on a bunch of simps out there in about 5 or 10 years.
Okay, that is absolutely true. So his action will have a spillover effect, will affect other people in society. So what we do on an individual basis has affect other people. It has an effect.
After you've finished her off and run off like a thief in the night. Again, I don't blame you, because if you don't...
He doesn't blame him. I do. That's an excuse.
Do it, someone else will have to come along and break her heart.
Someone else has to come along and break her heart. Every time he seems to say something that might help elevate this guy's light or soul, He just reverts back to his negative self. Sandman does.
And then she would just go out and become a ball-breaking bitch anyways. The question you should ask yourself is, when are you going to get out? It's been 6 months, and at some point the facade is going to come down and she's going to get ballsier, unless you keep her well-trained to not misbehave. The zoo incident is just the first test in a long lineup of coming attractions. I just want you to know that because at some point soon you're going to want to make sure this woman is no longer your metaphorical monkey, and that your relationship with her is no longer your metaphorical circus. I also agree with you that it's important for men to go through actual relationship experiences after swallowing the red pill.
Okay, so that's enough. If you want to finish watching it, you can. There's only about 2.5 minutes left of it. I think we get the gist of Sandman. Let's watch another one so that you know that there's repetition here, that he favors the separation of the two sexes. Almost reminds me of like Separate but Equal. Okay, so the next one is called 21-Year-Old Asian Woman.
Hi everyone, Sandman here. This video...
So this is the same person who writes to Sandman, who wrote to Sandman.
Video is brought to you by a donation from Colby, and here's what he has to say. Hello Sandman, I'm only 23 years of age, but you've saved my life. My parents split when I was 12, and I've had little to no guidance until I joined the Marine Corps at 17. I had to get there and be independent. Unfortunately, I did get married at 18, mostly because I was with the cliché high school first love trap. I got out and I was miserable. I didn't know why until I found your videos. You were so helpful, and honestly thought that you were inside my head sometimes with how clearly you described my situation.
Okay, so again, the dialogue is interesting. It's okay, let's keep going.
I've always been self-motivated and disciplined. So when I was medically separated and started an apprenticeship as a tattoo artist, I knew that she just had to go. I drew 12 to 14 hours a day and didn't even acknowledge my existence to my wife at the time. I divorced her and actually left tattooing as well because I traveled to Spain, where I met an Italian artist named Emanuele Dascanio. He's amazing and he changed my direction in life. I immediately started building a portfolio to attend a very prestigious 15th century style atelier. After I finish school, I will travel the world with Emanuele as his apprentice. I have you to thank, Sandman, because you showed me the truth that I hid from. And without it, I may have even had a kid by now. I also got about $100,000 from family to follow this dream because they believe in my dedication to my craft. I'm living with a beautiful Asian woman now, but I've made it clear that I don't need her. Being intimate with her is insane, and she's actually very different from other women.
Okay, I want you to pay attention to what he says because I find it quite interesting. He says he doesn't need her. Okay? And in my summary, we're going to talk about that as well.
However, I'm always skeptical, and I don't want to mess up my life. I honestly can't find anything wrong with her. She hates women, she understands and agrees that marriage is out of the question, and doesn't try and change me or use me for money. There's much more, but I'm not trying to persuade you of anything. I just want to know if it's possible. Are there women like her, or am I blinded by this beautiful 21-year-old slim Asian? Please let me know what you think. I apologize for the length of my message, and I just really wanted to share how much you've helped me, and I don't want to make mistakes now. Well, Colby, thanks for your donation as well as your topic. In case anyone is wondering about the art in this video that's not pictures of young Asian women, it's actually Colby's work. Your work is amazing, and I'm sure that you'll be...
Okay, we're going to skip ahead here to the essential parts. Let's go to 4 minutes, about 4 minutes, where he talks about, he gives the guy Colby a suggestion or advice about the lady.
Amounts of dedication and love for your work. You know this because you work 12 to 14 hours a day. You really think you're going to have any time for her and your art in life? I'm just saying that sometimes you can actually be with the woman for a decade, like I was, and not know the person you're with until you actually leave the relationship. Then you realize they were lying to you and behaving not like themselves.
Is that true? Is it true? You really don't know the person, you really don't know anybody really that well? I beg to differ. I beg to differ. I'll explain in a conclusion.
You've probably only known Miss Sushi Breath for only about a year or two at most. If you've been painting and drawing for most of your young life, then that doesn't leave you much time to be a good judge of character, unless of course it's character sketches. So what makes this woman so different than the rest? Women are really funny because when they don't think you actually need them, they usually don't generally rock the boat and will be nice to hang around with. But from my experience, once they know that you're hooked on their meat curtain teriyaki, they often reveal their true nature. If they have self-esteem issues and are master manipulators, they will keep themselves hidden even when they know that you love them fully because they might be afraid of losing you. The best way to test her to see if she's faking it is to see how she hangs out with her friends when you're not around. If her friends mock you and laugh at you when you're around them, that's generally how she would behave around you if there was no consequences to her.
Okay, you can finish the video if you want to. The title again is 21-year-old Asian woman, Mgtow, M-G-T-O-W, 21-year-old Asian woman. So let me summarize here. Sandman, okay, I'll use the present tense. Sandman tells Kobe that the nice girl he is with might change. He also tells Kobe that he's too young to really know much about relationships because he hasn't had many. Okay, so the whole age thing in relationship experience is important. Basically, that's what he's saying. Experience is important. I'll say right now, I'm going to talk about it in the conclusion, but I'll say right now that experience is relative to good moral character. Experience is nothing compared to what your soul, your light inside has gone through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. You just don't have your memories. How many more times do you need to be with a woman? How many more times do you need to be with a man to know that you have had similar experiences in past lives? But some of you don't take this whole past lives seriously. That's why you'll be around for a long time. Anyway, let's look at the final video. This will segue into the conclusion. The next video, it's not a video, it's actually, what is it? It's an audio, and Sandman usually just do audios anyway with pictures, so we don't really need the visuals. Let's play it.
Huh?
It's called NoFap. What is it? Let me go back. NoFap, no problem. NoFap. F-A-P. F as in Frank, A as in Apple, P as in Paul. NoFap, no problem.
Hi everyone, Sandman here. This video was brought to you by a donation from Lost in the Woods, and here's what he has to say. Hey Sandman, when I was between the age of 12 and 14, I was this creepy kid who would stare at hot women in high school because I found them so attractive. The hormones were pumping through my body. I was aroused all the time. One day when I got home, a classmate sent me a short clip of what was then my very first introduction to real adult movies. Before that time, I only watched the soft stuff, only based on suggestion. I was shocked that women would film themselves this way, but it made my masturbation go a lot easier.
Okay, so let's skip ahead. I feel like my brain is working at a different frequency and I'm not getting out my words like I usually do, but I'm not going to start this video over. I'm just going to put out whatever comes out. Okay, so we're going to skip all that masturbation stuff and go straight to what I want to focus on, which is the future of the human species. And if you are listening from another frequency where there's a similar problem, you better believe it's not an accident. The whole entire universe is on lockdown. quarantined. So we're going to move ahead to 6 minutes and 29 seconds where Mr. Sandman talks about society and the future of the human species. 29, 25, close enough.
Calm myself down as long as possible. Eventually, I lasted so long that it became harder and harder to reach a climax. Another thing I noticed about the naughties in the internet is that it took me more and more extreme content to get the same high that I got before.
Okay.
When you live in a society where technology gives men a bigger high, no pun intended, than flesh and blood females, you know that your species is in trouble. Guys would rather look at their phones than at hot girls next to them, and the hot girls would also rather look at their phones for guys that aren't even next to them either.
Okay, so he recognizes that the human species is in trouble, but yet men go their own way. I believe in caution, extreme caution, but I also know that from personal experience it's not going to solve your problems by having sex with dolls or surrogacy or whatever going your own way means. I gave you an example of me saying that I didn't need anybody, right? I explained this in I believe it was my second book, but when my intuition scolded me, my source self scolded me meaning parts of me, there's a part of me that had a difficult time with, coming back over and over again, so decided to just ignore everything and just. But anyway, the human species is in trouble. Let me show you a photo or photos of where we're headed. On the screen, you see a guy digging his arm into a cow's vagina. Okay. So, if the species is in trouble, as Sandman said, well then, there will be a reduction in the human population. Oh, the reduced population will be forced to reproduce, alright? Make no mistake about it. But not through pleasure. Not through pleasure. Machines and technologies will be used. Machines will ejaculate you if you are male. And if you are female, machines will force things down your vagina. It would be something akin to the photos you see on the screen. And if you don't come, pun intended, or produce, you'll be slaughtered for food or gotten rid of, like how male chickens presently are. Okay, so here is my piece on the overall picture. I typed this so that every little point will be clear. Up to now, I didn't type anything. The conclusion is typed. This is the concluding element. So basically what we get here, I'm not reading yet. Basically what we get here is abuse. Okay, females abusing males and males abusing females. Okay, so I wrote, abuse is an excuse for continuing. Abuse is an excuse for continuing and pursuing darkness and darkening one's light or soul. Throughout so-called time, humans and non-human species have been wronged, mistreated, and enslaved, literally, and eaten, literally. This is still going on at different degrees throughout the entire universe, which is being blocked off from spreading throughout literally infinite space. Once an element or one side of the population of a given species catches on to the wrongdoing, then there is a good chance for the group to take a wrong path and build upon the hell that has already begun, and thus making matters worse. That is absolutely true if the members of that element of the species does not look at the whole picture and is short-sighted. In that myopia of being right lies the danger to stay in hell. Literally, literally. No religion in any shape or form can help them. Religions are created when there is a myopia of long-term memory. Let me give you an example. Long ago, before the human population was subjugated and the planet or frequency was populated by natives and light and souls, they were not forced into a fake or manipulated cycle of reincarnation, which gave them total amnesia. Didn't happen. So let me remind you here once again that you are returning over and over to different scenarios of darkness without your memories. As such, you do not remember that sometimes you were the perpetrator and at other times you did good. Since the light or soul inside has no gender or sex, you have been a female in other lifetimes. You have been a male in other lifetimes. So if you were mistreated by a man, chances are you have mistreated a woman. The current state of the battle of the sexes is your creation. You created this throughout the generations. Even if you were manipulated, you continued it. To overcome this, you must seek higher ground. Look up and seek peace. There's nothing wrong with shielding yourself from malice or injustice, but don't take it too far. At the light or soul level, I too have said I don't need anybody. Yet, Source always knows best. By Source, I mean the very best part of your light, or what some call your higher self. As fractals of the grand light, there can never be a master or savior, only helpers. No one can ever be smarter than you at a deeper level. You possess the same level of knowing as the original source or the grand light or God. If you seek the most beautiful, you will show it to yourself, and you eventually must. This only appears to be an option. This love only appears to be an option to you at this point, because you don't have your total awareness. You're not tapping into your total awareness. However, eventually, pain and suffering, if that is what it takes, will make you see your own infinite beauty. No piece of darkness is excluded. You are always enough. For love is always enough. Let me repeat that. You are always enough. For love is always enough. You just don't realize it, or perhaps don't want to accept it. So, understanding this will help you to go beyond the battle of the sexes, the limitation of age and experience. It doesn't matter if you are only 21 or 23 years old when you enter a relationship. You could have made a better decision when you were younger. Age and experience are relative and totally unnecessary when you listen to your own source or higher self inside. I have seen animals show more love and peace than humans. A woman or a man will have his or her shortcomings. But the question is it a match for you? Is that person a match for you? If you listen to your source self, you will find someone very compatible, and that person will be with you for life. Some of you doubt this because you have accepted programming telling you that your mate might change for the worse. Bullshit. Source is always correct. You cannot outsmart a genius that is infinitely smarter than you. You cannot outsmart a genius that is infinitely smarter than you. You cannot outsmart a being of light that takes the higher ground. Here are two examples of, we already went over the examples. So, concluding paragraph. A single spark of light is always enough to return to source by itself. Unfortunately, without help, it can take what appears to be an eternity. Thus, help is offered by other fractals of light for the two species. I'll repeat that because that was a little. Thus, help is offered by other fractals of light for the two species. The entire universe is hell. I'm serious. Take this seriously from someone who is returning to source consciousness after this lifetime. If you should refuse to embrace peace or love, it should be interesting to see how you get out of this whole mess. Again, the battle of the sexes or groups is being played all over the universe. I said it should be interesting how you solve this because some of us will be watching outside of the universe. Good luck on your journey back to source consciousness. Alright, sorry about the errors. Not really errors, but I don't know, I just feel like my mind was not the lack of sleep or can't fall asleep. Anyway, be careful, and hopefully I'll see you on the other side sooner than later.